area. You should be familiar with the formulae for the areas of basic shapes. So for the square, every side is the same, and if we say that side is L, then A is L squared. For the rectangle, we have length and we have width, and the area is length times width. I usually just do the square that way, but just have the same length and width. For the triangle, you need to identify a base and a height, and remember that the height is always perpendicular to the base. Then you can use the common formula stated is a half base times height. I find a lot of students prefer to do that as base times height and then divide by 2. For the rhombus or kite, remember that a rhombus is a parallelogram, so depending on the information given, you may do it as a parallelogram. But it's the length of the diagonals. So x is the diagonal this way, and y is the diagonal that way, and you multiply those diagonals and divide by 2, or just as with the triangle above, you do it as a half xy. For the parallelogram, you identify the base and the height. Once again, those need to be perpendicular, and the area is base times height. The trapezium, although you can usually do trapezia by cutting them in half and doing 2 triangles, but once again, the height is perpendicular to the base. And what you do is half the sum of the parallel sides and multiply that by h. So you need to identify the parallel sides A and B. Once again, many students prefer to do that by dividing by 2 at the end. And the other one we need to look at here is the circle with the radius of r. The area is pi times the radius squared. Just be careful when they give you the diameter that you need to halve it to get the radius. Remember, with compound shapes, you simply need to add or subtract together the individual areas. But please show as much working as possible so that part marks can be awarded if needed. The most annoying thing as a teacher here is just to see a wrong answer, and you award 0 when the question may have been worth 4 or 5 marks. So what we're talking about with composite shapes are things like when you have a rectangle with a semicircle stuck on it. You need to work out the area of the rectangle and the area of the semicircle, which of course is just half of a circle, and you add them together. Or you might have, say, a trapezium like this with, I don't know, a circle cut out of it. And then you do the area of the trapezium and you subtract the area of the circle. Always be careful with units, as changing units in your final answer is far trickier than changing units of length before working out the area. We've spoken a lot about changing of units in the past, so if you're not sure about this, go back and refer to those lessons.